what took you to the place of becoming a healer and a teacher with this mission in your life?
Well, I started out remembering, like I didn't forget coming in. I was met with a tremendous amount of guilt for remembering what I remembered. There was kind of like a guilt about it's unfair if I remember and others don't. So it's taken me pretty well a lifetime to get out from behind that guilt that was implanted in me at a very young age, right? Not by my parents, and it was just a vibration that was here. So I began to wonder how many other people were met with the guilt coming in here, knowing what they knew, right? You know, the veil was open. They came in and then they closed the veil. So I started out this way.
So what did you feel you knew, and how did the guilt manifest? In what form?
What I knew was that that people were more than basically slaves to an establishment. I knew that they were gods and goddesses in their own right. I knew that they could create magic in their life. I knew that as a child. And what the guilt was that who are you to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be that sort of person in the world. But then I'm finding out as I'm working with people that we all came in this way. We all came in knowing and remembering. But there's kind of a program that goes on, generational program with our own parenting, and also in the system for us to take a part of us that can do things, can heal, can do create reality, and set it aside and put on a socialized mask.
Yes.
And this is very disempowering. Yeah?
Well, in a nutshell, how would you describe Trance Alchemy as a kind of healing system?
Trance Alchemy is the awareness of being able to go inside, still the top part of your mind, which is running the fear patterns, drop into what we call the Eye of Horus, drop in here and start to create without the fear patterns, because what happens is you add fear to the mind, and the mind will run it absolutely in reverse. So instead of manifesting what you want, you're manifesting your fears. And so that top part of the mind runs those fear patterns. So by dropping in with this, you get to know yourself. Each session is unique in itself because everybody comes to the table basically with their own things that they have gone through in life. Understanding through Trance Alchemy that there was only a few things that really keep us limited. A few things that have been played out, like say keeping unconditional love and acceptance out there somewhere, so we're always chasing it. We as human race will buy anything for that acceptance.
Yeah, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, and when we move that inside and realize it's an inside job, unconditional love and acceptance, we step out of the game, right, of selling us on our own, even to our spirituality. In most cases, this is occurring. We can't get there yet until we achieve. Yeah. Which I'm finding is not the case at all. It doesn't matter what you did, where you are, source energy, and your spiritual evolution is a sacred journey between you and source.
In some of your videos and interviews, you've talked about them. You describe them and as in the system of how we have been hypnotized or put to sleep or made unaware of our own power. Can you elaborate on your exact meaning of what them or they are?
Well, this is the funny thing, is that we're uncovering that, who they really are. We're uncovering that the biggest defense in their case is to be able to hide behind. Okay, so really, people complain about the government, but it's not the government. There's something behind that. That's, if you take a look at it on a global level, suppression is happening everywhere.
Do you mean like the Illuminati or something like that?
Like something like that, yeah. Archons, Illuminati. It goes deeper to the this avenue of having people feel the frustration, angst, sadness, depression. They kind of feed off that. Well, they don't kind of. They feed off that energy. We think it's about money. It really isn't about money. It's about emotion. It's about emotion. And the more that people get still in themselves and stop reacting to the outside world, realize that it's an inside thing, that you're really giving your power away by reacting. And that's what the intention is by dancing that in front of you, that this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. People get into fear responses and feel like they're powerless. And they're not. They're gods and goddesses.
So they're living the Orwellian reality of being sort of half asleep or enslaved to the system in a paranoid world. Yeah. Why Greece? Why are you here in Greece? And you've been here before, and you're coming again. What has drawn you to this country?
This is the absolute chi chakra of the planet. It is the belly button of chakra of the whole planet here, and it's a very powerful place in the sense that family values are very, very strong here yet. Greece is a place where the people are still in their heart, in most cases, okay? Family, friends, I mean, I've never been so welcomed in my life as to come to Greece and be, welcomed. Greece has that energy, and, the suppression that's going on, when I look at, your average wage is $30 a day, when, I come from a country where the minimum wage is $15 an hour. You really see that something's going on here to keep you guys down. And it's only the worst thing that's happened is through this crisis that's taken place. They stole your imagination by putting the crisis, in this crisis that's going on. People have lost their ability to imagine and to create. That's still there. And the people of Greece can begin to imagine their way out of this, right?
I don't know if I agree with that, because I've seen a huge flourishing of creative ideas, entrepreneurial ideas, and initiatives in Greece, very much owed to the crisis. People who were sort of working as accountants suddenly realized they could also cook or paint, or, so people also saw the different dimensions that they have within themselves.
And I apologize, I might not have seen all of that, but where I have been traveling, it's kind of like, that's what this births is and just making sure that people are birthing those imaginations and creativities, and you're never stuck.
Yes, we are stuck on many other levels, definitely, I would say. There's no light at the end of a tunnel, so it can be very difficult to deal with that.
But there is. And once one starts to imagine that light, and that light's for them, and that they can do so, then it starts happening, because we really manifest our own reality.
Yeah.
And the biggest part is that when something like this happens, and the imagination is kind of diverted over to panic, then some lose sight of this. You're saying that you are seeing people coming out of it, and that's good. That's what needs to spread.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's very hard, because even I, as a mother, someone who's always worked hard, when I know that it's a lot to do with how we create our vision of things, but when all these sort of evidence around you is this sort of closed doors and difficult demands, you can get this kind of panic mode, and you shut down. So what would you suggest to people they can do to start seeing that light you mentioned, and to start to find their way out of that darkness and not panic?
You said it really well. When all your stimulus outside is about this, right? We need to go inside. We need to close our eyes and go into a place. Like I had mentioned, I just made a video. I had mentioned a Rumi poem, beyond right doings and wrongdoings, there's a field, I'll meet you there. And if we drop everything that's going on, everything that we're supposed to be, and we just start entering that field, and we come in just as the being we are, okay, then you can get some relief from this and start to use your imagination again. So everything is real and unreal at the same time, because we are literally creating it on the inside, and it becomes an external projection, right? And so if we go inside and we play in the freedom will start showing up. Ideas will start showing up. I mean, we did some brainstorming here with a person who's a farmer, and we were talking about the possibilities that could unfold from just looking at it, maybe a different market, right? A different place to market. And these ideas started to flow and started to come in. So also talk to other people that want to do something different for themselves, and start looking at an online business where they can instead of just dealing with here, they could actually deal with a world market. And all of a sudden the imagination starts kicking in, and they start seeing the light. All it is a suppression of the imagination that's taken place, really. And yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So what can one expect at the event that you're doing on September 11th here in Athens? What will you be presenting there?
I'm going to just help people come into this space. We did a longer 2-day event in Athens, and this is a shorter event. It's going to be an evening event, but have them come into this place inside of them, right, where they can start to create and imagine. So I'm just going to guide people into this state and guide them into what to do to open up, and there's going to be a satsang aspect to it, where people can ask questions, and we can deal with things that are at hand. You know what I mean? And help people through a process of opening up to this aspect of themselves, the God, the goddess within, right?
And
it's amazing.
Are you
amazing history.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So are you planning to do more workshops in Greece after that?
Yes, I am. There's one of the people that were at the event at the Hotel Congo also wants us to come back in March and do something as well there. There's also a training program that I do, and he wants to put together the 7-day training program. So we're going to be coming back and also bebopping here and there, doing events here in Greece, and also looking at doing events from Greece in other countries. So
what is the 7-day training program? How does it work?
Trance Alchemy, and it teaches you the fundamentals of how to be a trance alchemist, to do what I'm doing, right, and to help people step out of a stuck state into freedom, and that is a very important part of internal alchemy. Mm-hmm. Is being able to recognize the freedom. So being free yourself, then you can help other people be that free as well, because they sense it off of you. So it's a very hands-on, experiential program that I do. Everything I do is experiential because it's the feeling. Mm. It's the feeling that people need, not more information. They've had too much information, right? And so I've really seen this, that people need to have experience. That solidifies wisdom. So these trainings are about that, about gaining the wisdom and the feeling of what it's like to go through the different processes that I teach, to help people become free. Those processes that I'm speaking of are the way that we are trapped, basically, how they get us trapped. Mm-hmm. And going through the processes helps us to free ourselves. Again, the person has to want to, Yes. The person has to want to for it to work. You can't force anything upon anybody, but
yes. Yes, mm-hmm. I find that fascinating. The placebo idea as well. How something that if you believe, well, basically if you believe something can help you, it can. At least it creates the possibility and the potential.
Well, they found that out with quantum physics. Is that the observer of the study was affecting the study. Hmm. So. If we just think about that for a second, that they can run a test and the observer of the test will affect the test depending on their intention. Well, what else are we affecting? Mm. So when we have a group of people all going into crisis and all talking about crisis and everything else, what are we creating?
Exactly.
What would happen if we started to pop out and have our own intention? Mm. Right? Yeah. We affect everything. I think that really we are at this point, whether you're in a state of well-being or a state of panic, but if you come into a state of well-being in this present moment, the whole universe is expanding from you. Mm. Right? And so tomorrow becomes different. The more that we learn that sovereignty inside of ourselves, the quicker we change things. And it's not only something that's happening in Greece, it's happening everywhere. And we're becoming more outward and outward and outward when it's time to come inside. It's time to come inside and realize that our emotions and how we feel can change. And as we change that, then our reality changes. But that's some of the fun that you get to learn in Trance Alchemy.
Do you believe that there is indeed a sort of a general awakening in the world? At the same time, of course, as we're seeing people like Donald Trump in power and many other examples in other countries of horrendous things happening in the world, do you believe that there are en masse a lot of people waking up to a different consciousness?
Yes.
Or is that just something a few of us are telling each other to feel better?
I work on Skype and I work all over the world, and I'm busy all the time. When I first started out in this in 1999, it was a long stretch to even talk to somebody about the fact that they create their own reality. Now people come in and they want to know how to just clean it up. They already know they're creating the reality. They just want to, make it work more efficient, right? So, most of my work that I do is online and over Skype, over Zoom, all over the world. And there's people being trained, there's people having sessions, there's people, I live with it every day of people just wanting to come into their own, right? So I'm lucky I get to see it all day long. And it's everywhere. And it's so surprising because, people will say to me, well, there's nobody in my town or nobody in my city that's like this. All I see is people that aren't like this. But yet I'm working with 3 or 4 or 5 people in that city that are like that or more, right? So it's like we're just not recognizing each other.
We're not connecting enough with other people who are in that sphere of thinking and in that mission, let's say.
Yes, mission is the word. Yes. See, I truly know that people that are drawn to this are actually have a mission to come in here. And even if they're just vibrationally effective, sitting at home, they're changing things. They're changing the vibration of the planet. And some people want to actually be practitioners and work in that area and helping other people come into it. There's different levels of this, but one isn't more than another. I'm going to say that people that want to sit and meditate in their house and come into these vibrations are affecting everything as well, the vibration of the planet. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing that appears to be chaos in the world is really who's in chaos. The ones that have been trying to control humanity for so long are now in chaos because we are coming into a vibration. I think it was 2011, we had hit critical mass as far as the amount of people waking up. So we're on a snowball effect now, but it took that long, to get people into the idea of waking up. And there's so many people that are awake but are at home and not, you know what I mean? Yeah. Not sharing with another person because there's still that fear of ridicule, right? And once we get past that and realize that, this is nothing to be fearful about or ridiculed about. It's just come out and start talking. I find with myself that, it takes me a short amount of time talking to anybody, and all of a sudden they start sharing their experiences. I don't meet anybody anymore that is so closed off. But then like attracts like, right? Yeah. But
do you work on a psychic level as well? Do you sort of see energy and connect with people in a non-physical level? I mean, I know you do that with your work, obviously you do, but I mean on a more psychic degree.
Yeah, you can't help but get there. The more that you work with with it. Mine is more of an intuition and a psychic level on a feeling level. So I may not see pictures like everybody else does, but I have feelings, and I can feel when, we're moving off onto a subject over here that we need to draw it back. I get that feeling, right? That this going over here isn't going to help the person at all. They're just repatterning or telling their old story again. But to bring them back here, and it's all through feeling that I do that. Now, from feeling, I do hear sound. I do hear, sound or clairaudience, as far as that person's higher self. Because that person's higher self wants them to be in alignment too, right? And then I may see visions and things, but my primary system is the feeling, right? And so I share with people and teach people how to upgrade that feeling psychic ability, to upgrade it, because a lot of people are empaths out there. They feel other people's emotion, and there was a pattern in running that before where people were just taking in all kinds of information and from other people that they didn't need to take in. To separate away from that and then come into your own space and now project. Now other people feel you instead of the other way around. And so the empath upgrade is about that, about helping you come into your own energy first, and then creating your own emotional states inside and vibrations, and then project them out. And then it's just as powerful. It's just that you're now projecting that feeling out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be in the metro, and people might look particularly drab in the morning or whatever, and I just imagine myself as a sun sending out these beautiful light rays, and you just feel a change in the atmosphere. Someone might turn around and smile at you, or there might be a really nice interaction, where everyone was feeling depressed. It's amazing how our visualization can actually change on an immediate level the reality around us. Exactly,
because people pick up on that. People pick up on that and feel that, and so the changes that you do don't have to be, they can be just like you're saying. Just walk in and hold your state and vibrate a vibration, that a vision you have in your mind, and just do that and watch the room start to shift and change, right? And people say, well, can you change the world like that? And well, you certainly can. Each one of us doing something like that changes the vibration of the planet. Yeah.
Well, I've kept you for half an hour now, and I know you're extremely busy and you've got a lot to do. So I'll just end with one question, which could be helpful to our viewers as well. You mentioned in the beginning of our interview how the fear takes over the top part of the mind. And for example, for myself, I'm aware of how you can change your reality through your visualizations and through your awareness, but at the same time, I can also be trapped sometime in my fears. And when you're in that state, it's very hard to get out of it. It's hard to meditate, it's hard to think positive, to even see things. So what is your advice to people when they're put in that state, maybe because of also the energies around them? What's a good way for them to get out?
First of all, is to recognize it's not you. When you're in the pattern, say it inside, this is not me. And then take a deep breath in, hold it to the mental count of 3, and then slowly, slowly exhale. And if you need to do it one more time, you just take a deep breath in, hold it to the mental count of 3, and slowly, slowly exhale. Now, as you're doing that with me, you're noticing that your vision is changing, right?
Mm.
You're dropping out of the top part of your mind and into the midbrain.
Mm.
So you're literally making a choice to step out of that.
Nice.
Okay? And when you do that, then everything starts to calm down, because we realize that everything is and everything is not all at the same time. And that this place you get to choose. What do you want to do? Right? I think I'll become the sun. Right?
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you very, very much for your time. And we look forward to the event on the September 11th and more workshops after that.
All right. Well,
Thank
blessings to you.
Thank you very much. I'll come and say hello to you if you're not too busy in person.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.